You know what happens every single time a missile launches in the Middle East. Somewhere in America, a wealthy person checks their stock portfolio and smiles. The war between Iran, America, and Israel is killing people. But at the exact same time, a select few people are making billions of dollars. Today, we are going to expose the dark machinery behind the system and show you exactly how it works. Let's start with the biggest question. How much money is the United States spending on this conflict? The answer, between $31 to $34 billion. The US has already sent $21.7 billion in military aid to Israel alone. And here's the critical part. Where does most of that money actually go? Directly into the pockets of defense contractors. These are the real war profiteers. Lockheed Martin brings in $68.4 billion in annual revenue. Boeing has over $1 trillion in defense contracts. Raytheon, or RTX, has over $100 billion market cap. General Dynamics made $3.8 billion in net profit in 2024, a 14% increase from 2023. And it's not just America. European defense companies are cashing in too. BAE Systems, Rheinmetall, Thales, Leonardo, all of them making absolute fortunes. This isn't some conspiracy theory. This is public information. These are publicly traded companies. You can see their earnings reports. You can see their stock prices. And every single conflict in the Middle East sends those numbers skyrocketing. Now here's where it gets really dark. March 2024. Iran launches missiles at Israel. The news breaks. The world watches in shock and fear. Everyone's wondering, is there going to be a bigger war? But on Wall Street, something very different happens. RTX's stock jumps 4.7% in a single day. Lockheed Martin surges. Every major defense contractor's stock soars. Why? Simple equation. War equals more spending equals more military orders equals bigger profits. And anyone holding shares in these companies makes massive money in just a few hours. Over the last 3 years alone, the top defense contractor stocks have doubled, even tripled in value. Think about that for a second. People in America are struggling with rent, with healthcare, with student loans. But somewhere, someone just made $1 million because missiles were launched. That's not an accident. That's by design. Now let's talk about the CEOs and executives of these companies. Here's how they actually get paid. Most CEO compensation isn't a regular salary. It's given in stock options. This is genius. From a corrupt standpoint, the more war happens, the higher the stock price goes, and the richer these executives become personally. Let me give you a specific example. When Iran's top military commander Qasem Soleimani was assassinated in January 2020, in just one day after the announcement, 5 major defense company CEOs saw their personal stock wealth increase by $7 million. Phoebe Novakovic, CEO of General Dynamics, she personally holds millions of dollars worth of company stock. Every military action in the Middle East literally makes her richer. James Takelet at Lockheed Martin. His compensation package is structured so that higher earnings from military contracts mean higher stock prices, which means bigger paychecks for him personally. Think about this incentive structure. These are the most powerful people in the defense industry. They literally profit, personally, directly, from more conflict. So when there's a chance for war or escalation, what do you think they're hoping for? But here's where the system becomes absolutely corrupt. At least 50 members of the US Congress, or their immediate family members, directly own stocks in defense contractors. The total value of those holdings? $10.9 million. Let me spell out how this actually works in practice. A congressperson votes to send $5 billion in military aid to Israel. That vote becomes news. Markets react. Defense stock surge. Because that same congressperson owns shares in those defense companies, their personal portfolio just increased in value. They just became richer by voting to spend taxpayer money. Is that a conflict of interest? It's beyond that. It's a direct profit motive embedded in the system. Representative Rashida Tlaib has introduced a bill called the Stop Politicians Profiting from War Act, which would ban elected officials from owning defense stocks. Guess what happened to that bill? It's been blocked. 4 years. Why? Because the very people who would have to vote on it are the ones profiting from defense stocks. This isn't a minor ethical issue. This is systemic corruption that literally incentivizes warfare. But the profits don't just come from selling missiles. The real money comes after the fighting is over, in reconstruction. Look at Gaza. Over 67,000 people dead. Entire cities destroyed. Factories, homes, schools, hospitals, reduced to rubble. Now here's the crucial question. Who gets the contracts to rebuild? The same defense contractors. Through subsidiary companies. Through connected firms. Through political connections. It's a literally designed cycle. Phase 1 is destruction, where defense contractors sell weapons and missiles for direct weapon sales profit. Phase 2 is reconstruction, where those same companies or their subsidiaries win contracts to rebuild, generating massive reconstruction contract profits. Phase 3 is new conflict, where because the region is still unstable, the cycle repeats repeats, creating more weapon sales profits. Every single phase has money being made by the same people. It's not a bug in the system, it's the entire purpose of the system. And the people making this money? They have zero incentive to actually solve the problem. They have every incentive to keep it going forever. Now let's talk about one of the most important parts of this system: ammunition. Every missile fired is a product that needs to be sold and replaced. A single Patriot missile costs $4 million. In recent conflicts, intercepting just one Iranian missile required 11 Patriot missiles. Do the math. One Iranian missile equals 11 times 4 million equals $44 million to neutralize it. That's from just one engagement. Now multiply that by thousands of missiles across multiple conflicts. Here's the genius of the system. Stock runs out. Every time the US or its allies use munitions, they deplete their reserves. Then those stockpiles need to be replenished, which means new billion-dollar orders to defense contractors. In Ukraine, in the Middle East, right now, ammunition is being used up faster than ever. So right now, defense contractors are receiving unprecedented orders for new stock. This is an infinite market. As long as conflicts continue, the ammunition runs out, it gets replaced, and profits keep flowing. It's the perfect business model. The only cost is human lives. And while all of this is happening, let's look at what's actually happening to real people. In Gaza, over 67,000 people are killed and wounded. In Iran, thousands of civilian casualties. In Israel, thousands of soldiers and civilians killed. In America, 31 to 34 billion in taxpayer money is diverted from everything else. That 31 to 34 billion dollars, that could have gone to healthcare for Americans, education and student debt relief, infrastructure repairs, housing and homelessness programs, social security, or veterans' actual care, not just weapons. But instead, it goes to war. Meanwhile, the other side of the ledger shows defense contractors' stock prices doubling and tripling, CEOs adding tens of millions to their personal fortunes, Congress members' investment portfolios growing exponentially, and weapons manufacturers announcing record profits every quarter. Here's what's absolutely insane. The US Social Security system is facing a crisis, and people say we need to cut benefits for elderly Americans. The US healthcare system is broken and unaffordable for millions. The US has crumbling infrastructure. Yet, we always find unlimited money for war, unlimited budgets for defense contractors. Why? Because people at the top are making billions from it, and they have the power to make sure the money keeps flowing, no matter what. This isn't about national security. If it were, we'd see equal investment in actual infrastructure, education, and healthcare. But we don't. This is about profit, pure and simple. This system isn't new. It's been running since World War I. It's been perfected over a century of warfare. President Eisenhower called it the military-industrial complex and warned America about it in his farewell address in 1961. He was right, and it's only gotten worse. Every time there's instability in the Middle East, they profit. Every time diplomacy fails, they profit. Every time weapons are used, they profit. And here's the thing, they know this. The defense contractors know this. The CEOs know this. Congress knows this. So ask yourself, do you think they want this conflict to end? Or do you think they want it to continue, to escalate, to spread? The answer is obvious. The question for you is, now that you know how this system works, what are you going to do about it? You can ignore it. Millions do. But you now know that every missile, every bomb, every death is tied to profit, to stock prices, to CEO bonuses, to Congress members' portfolios. Are you comfortable with that? Should America's foreign policy be determined by who can make the most money from it? If not, then pay attention. Educate yourself. Educate others. Demand that your representatives divest from defense stocks. Support politicians who actually oppose this system, because this cycle will keep spinning as long as people allow it to spin. If this video opened your eyes, hit subscribe. We are going deep on more systemic corruption. Share this with people who need to see it. Thanks for watching.